Right. Good morning again, everyone. Do govern yourself accordingly to all the announcements. And I'm going to set up our chapel for today. As you know, looking at the world through the lens of Christ is our theme for this year. And so today's presentation is going to do that by looking at a concern in the world and applying our thoughts about it, rather, through the lens of Christ. And so we're going to jump into that in just a second. Dr. Cook has a Bible that was published by an organization called World Vision. And it's a social justice Bible. And basically what's different about it is all through that particular printing, it highlights biblical verses that have to do with matters of social justice and social concern. And so I want to read a couple of scriptures out of the Bible that have to do with social concern as I tell you about what we're doing today. They're not going to appear on the screen, so I want you to listen real good, okay? Isaiah chapter 1 verse 17 says, "Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, plead the widow's cause." Zechariah chapter 7 verses 9 and 10 says, "Thus says the Lord of hosts, render true judgment, show kindness and mercy to one another. Do not oppress the widow, the fatherless, the sojourner, the poor, and let none of you devise evil against another in your heart." Jeremiah chapter 22 says, "Thus says the Lord, do justice and righteousness, and deliver from the hand of the oppressor him who has been robbed. And do no wrong or violence to the resident alien, the fatherless, and the widow, nor shed innocent blood in this place." Today, we're going to be hearing and seeing a wonderfully crafted presentation from one of our freshman year learning communities. And the freshman year learning community is still, relatively speaking, a new extension or a new arm of Warner Pacific. It's a way to enhance our students' learning by actually allowing them to study and learn on a world condition, based on a world condition. This program is under the direction of Jesse Thompson. Stand up and wave to us, Jesse. There you go. And this particular presentation is under the direction of Stephanie Ann Mathis and Professor Arthur Kelly, who are right there. Can you wave at us? And they have been blessed with two dutiful peer mentors that go by the name of Ben Irwin and Alejandra Garcia. And so at this time, will you put everything that could distract you away and give your full and undivided attention to this year's freshman year learning community as they bring us a presentation on wage theft. Welcome them as they come.
This year, my FYLC has been working on the subject of wage theft. Our goal today is to educate everyone on this very important topic. We have placed petitions on your chairs this morning for you to fill out during the service. On your way out, you are welcome to place them in the baskets located in the back. Now here's a video to show some of the faces of wage theft.
Me llamo María Restrepo.
Mi nombre es Jesús Madrigal.
Mi nombre es Margarito Martínez.
My name is Mark Hubble.
Mi nombre es Gilberto.
My name is Debbie.
Mi nombre es Nicolás.
Mi nombre es Víctor.
Mi nombre es Rafael.
My name is Jennifer.
Mi nombre es Gustavo.
My name is Leo.
Mi nombre es María.
Oh, yo soy Celso.
Mi nombre es Francisco.
Mi nombre es Celso Sarabia.
Mi nombre es Lázaro Ascón.
Mi nombre es Juan y a mí me han robado el salario.
Yo fui víctima de robo de salario.
And I have experienced wage theft.
En vez de recibir mi pago, recibí un sobre notificándome que tenía que comprobar mi estatus legal en este país. Y me dijeron que si no comprobaba, no iba a tener mi cheque.
I was hired as an independent contractor at this company, but I was treated like an employee.
Y a mí me tomó 3 años recuperar el salario que me robaron.
Y he sido víctima de robo de salario.
I was hired as an independent contractor, but found out that really I was actually an employee. I only got paid about 25 cents an hour by the time all the work was done.
Trabajé con un señor a lavar techos de los apartamentos. Trabajé casi como 2 meses y ahí nada más me pagaron 1,300, me quedaron debiendo 2,500.
Me robaron el salario de 2 meses de trabajo.
Trabajé para un patrón, me quedó de ver más de $5,000.
Nomás nos pagó la mitad y pues la otra mitad pues no nos ha pagado.
I was hired as an independent contractor, but really I was an employee and robbed of my wages and still fighting to get them.
No nos pagaron ni un solo centavo.
Y al final de cuentas nos quedó debiendo de 2 meses el salario.
Me gustaría que pudieras evitar el robo de salario.
Y hasta la fecha estoy esperando ese salario.
If you think you've been a victim of wage theft, please stand up. Look around.
Okay, so wage theft is defined as the illegal withholding of wages or denial of benefits that are rightfully owed to an employee. Basically, that's when an employer steals money from an employee who has worked hard and earned it. According to the Bureau of Labor Industries, there's been more than 8,500 claims within the time frame of 2006 to 2012, totaling more than $24 million in the state of Oregon alone. So obviously, wage theft isn't just a national crisis, but it's a prevailing problem in our backyard.
I'll be performing a monologue that I put together using dialogue from the Triangle Factory fire. I wanted to read it for you today because I think it captures the desperation, confusion, and suffering that victims of wage theft constantly feel. Every day I see someone on the worst day of their life. I've seen husbands kiss the bloodied lips of lifeless wives. I've seen stunned mothers cuddle babies veiled in the blue-gray shadow of death. But I've got a job to do, so I calm them down the only way I know how, by letting them tell their story. Gentlemen of the jury, on March 25th of this year, a terrible fire took the lives of 146 people, all of them dead within the space of an hour. Near the north end of the first cutter's table is where the fire started. When the cry of fire finally reached those on the 9th floor, they ran in every direction. Some ran to the Green Street door. Some ran to the fire escape. Others ran to the Washington Place door. One of these was Margaret Schwartz, now dead. Gentlemen, that door was locked. Section 80 of the New York labor law reads, all doors leading in or to any such factory should not be locked, bolted, or fastened during working hours. Earlier that week, we had gone to a meeting to hear about a union. I got the turn to speak. I said, this is not something to talk about. The fact is, because a few of us women went to a meeting to hear about a union, all of us got locked out. Our lives are at risk. The owners will not let us earn a living. Let us pledge ourselves to the union they're so afraid of. I move that we go on general strike. That week, we had also celebrated my engagement to David Abramovitz, a wonderful dancer. I was going to Mr. Harris' office to pick up my check, $6 a day. After the strike, the other girls on my floor started making 7 or 8, but I didn't. I never knew why. I was going towards the stairs. I was afraid of the elevator, so I always took the stairs. When I smelled smoke coming from the Green Street side, the place was full of smoke. I started to choke. I couldn't stand it no more. I ran for the door, but the door was locked. I kept pulling on the door. I thought I was not strong enough to open it. So I hollered, "Girls, here is a door." They all came over and tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. I couldn't see everyone in the smoke, so I yelled, "The door is locked and we can't open it." I pushed the girls aside, got hold of the handle, and pulled the door with all my strength. The only thing going through my head was, "David, David." The trail of my dress and the ends of my hair started to burn. I ran back to the window. I covered myself with the fabric to protect my skin, but it started to burn. My hands were on fire. All the windows were broken. The door was locked. The smoke was thick and black, and fire was everywhere. I screamed and cried and started to run. The height was 80 feet. I looked up and saw that there were scores of girls at the windows, the flames from the floor below beating on their faces. I learned a new sound. It was the thud of a speeding, living body on a stone sidewalk. Thud. Dead. Thud. Dead. I call them that because the sound and the thought of death came to me each time, the same instant. I even watched one girl falling, waving her arms, dress on fire, trying to keep her body upright until the very instant she struck the sidewalk. She was balancing herself. Then came the thud, then a silent, unmoving pile of clothing and twisted, broken limbs. I looked up to the 9th floor. There was a living picture in each window, 4 screaming heads of girls waving their arms. "Call the firemen," they screamed. Scores of them. "Get a ladder," cried others. They were all as alive and whole and sound as we were who stood on the sidewalk. I couldn't help thinking of that. Thank you. Victims of wage theft, like the workers on the 9th floor of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, find themselves with limited options. Doors are closing on them. Doors that would provide housing, fresh and healthy food, healthcare, transportation, and an education.
How y'all doing today? That ain't everybody. How y'all doing today? I need more. How y'all doing today? Now I need louder. Come on, one more time. How y'all doing today? There we go. All right. So we got some questions and some stats for you guys. So stand up if you think you're a victim of wage theft. Stay standing.
Victims were paid more than 25% less than the minimum wage. The average worker loses 15% of their annual income, which is around $2,000 a year. A quarter of workers worked overtime and 76% were not paid properly. 70% worked off the clock and 43% who complained received some sort of retaliation.
Stand up if your parent is a victim. Stay standing.
Children of families who face financial problems are more likely to drop out of school, get pregnant in adolescence, have trouble learning, suffer from mental and physical health problems, and suffer from anxiety and stress.
Stand up if you're a child of an immigrant or a person of color. Stay standing.
You are twice as likely to experience wage theft. Foreign-born Latinos have the highest rate of minimum wage violations. If you are an African American, you are 3 times as likely to experience wage theft violations.
Stand up if you work or plan to work an entry-level job. Stay standing.
Over 68% of people interviewed had at least one violation of the previous week. Of the tipped workers, 30% had not been paid their tip minimum wage.
Stand up if you're a woman. Stay standing.
You are more likely to work in a low-wage industry, more likely to experience wage theft, and more likely to experience poverty. Foreign-born women are the highest number to experience wage theft.
Stand up if you pay or ever are going to pay taxes. Please stay standing.
You are subsidizing big corporations that are not paying their workers. And big corporations that aren't paying their workers are also not paying employment taxes, workers' compensation, and insurance/benefits.
Now look all around you. Almost everyone in the building is standing up. This means everybody can be affected by wage theft. You guys may be seated now.
So, this semester we have been talking about wage theft clearly, but we've had a couple of our classmates have been personally affected by it, or they've had family members that have been personally affected by it. So this is one of our classmates' stories. My father is a busboy at Red Robin. He's worked in the same restaurant for 11 years. Because of his legal status in America, many times he's a victim of wage theft. Many times his tips are taken from him, or his hours just don't add up. I know the reason my dad is too scared to say anything is because of his legal status in America. But my dad is not a bad man. All he wants to do is work in this country to feed his family. Although to his bosses, wage theft is no big deal, the money being stolen from my dad could be used on diapers, food, and rent. The money being stolen from my dad, just kidding. Our situation reminded me of a story my dad used to tell me when I was a kid. It says, there once was a king. The king was looking for a bride for a son. He told his servant to find all the eligible ladies in the kingdom and bring them to the palace. The king would then give the girls a series of tests that would prove their virtue. After a few tests, the king was left with 3 final candidates. As the final test, the king asked the girls an important question. The question was, I am the king. If you could weigh my worth in money, how much would you say I'm worth? The first girl with great fear answered, $100? $1,000? I'm sorry, king, I just don't know the answer. The second girl with great pride answered, your virtue is as high as the mountain and as deep as the sea. There's absolutely no way anyone could measure your worth in money. The amount would simply be too grand. The third girl then answered with a thoughtful look, $1. The king, almost screaming, asked the girl for an explanation. The girl calmly looked up and answered, to the richest man, $1 means nothing. But to the poor, $1 can mean the difference between life and death. The common people see the value of $1 and they treasure it. To the people, your majesty is that one needed dollar. The king must be the helpful hand that reaches out to even the poorest. Only then will he truly be valued by all. The king, taken aback, was shocked at the answer. So much, the girl was made the bride, and the kingdom grew prosperous, and they all lived happily ever after. The bosses who are stealing wages might not think that $1 means all that much. But to those who work hard, $1 can mean the difference between life and death. To the common people, $1 is not just $1. To the common people, $1 can mean security. This is the value of honesty and integrity. To change wage theft, we must change the heart.
There's a great tradition in this country of old protest songs, and I just love the way that music can kind of stir the heart and make people think about things in a different way. So as we were formulating what this chapel was going to look like, I knew we needed a song. So I wrote something. It's called Dirt. Here it is.
Families fed in a warm white picket fence dreamland.
But I break my back all day out in the wasteland. Only thing I've got to show for is the dirt on my hands.
They tell me America is a land of milk and honey. Serve apple pie slices to 'em all.
But the game is rigged, the odds are stacked for money. The house always wins is written on the wall. This American dream's become a nightmare, since we don't all get a turn. Oh, oh. The wage of work is theft, I guess I'll have to learn. And all it leaves me with is dirt. The yardstick of greed tells me what I'm worth. I guess to them I'm only dirt.
They tell me that God formed man from clay to one day return to it the same.
And in the meantime toil away through wind and snow and hail and rain.
They tell me a man ain't a man unless his family's fed in a warm white picket fence dreamland.
But I break my back all day out in the wasteland. Only thing I've got to show for is the dirt on my hands. This American dream's become a nightmare, since we don't all get a turn. Oh no, we don't. The wage of work is theft, I guess I'll have to learn. And all it leaves me with is dirt. The yardstick of greed tells me what I'm worth. I guess to them I'm only dirt. I guess to them I'm only dirt. I guess to them I'm only dirt. Thank you.
I am a victim of wage theft. I wonder if the so-called American dream is real or just a fantasy. I hear threats from my boss about calling immigration and lowering our wages. I see no one raising up for justice. I try not to lose hope. I am one person out of many. I pretend that everything is okay around my children. I feel small, overwhelmed, and powerless. I worry if I will always be taken advantage of. I cry for the family I can't provide for. I hope I have enough money to pay the overdue bills this week. I am holding on to what motivates me. I want to improve the lives of my children. I understand that action needs to be taken against wage theft. I say, sí se puede. I dream of the day that I will no longer be a victim of wage theft. I am no longer a victim. I am a voice. I am the change I want to see. When asked, what was the most important commandment, Jesus replied with, love the Lord, your God. A second commandment, as equally as important, love your neighbor as yourself. When wage theft occurs, employers essentially replace the word neighbor with the word money. The rule now reads, love your money as yourself. But this does not quite cover the issue. When people's hearts beat for money more than for people, they will actively pursue wealth, even if they don't necessarily hate their neighbor. You see, neighbor is not completely taken out of the equation. Instead, they become a victim of the employer's ambitious desire for money. The golden rule can now read, love your money as yourself at the expense of your neighbor. Employers are blinded to their neighbor as they pursue the desire of their hearts, money. Since when did a piece of paper become more precious than flesh, blood, spirit, and soul? Every one of us bears the Imago Dei image, the image of God, the Creator. But wage theft says that this piece of paper we call money is far more valuable. What is wrong with this picture? Throughout the Bible, we see love manifest in pursuit. The glaring example we see is that God's love for us was revealed through his pursuit of humanity to be reconciled to him. For the Bible to command us to love our neighbor means we must pursue justice for the beaten down, marginalized, the oppressed. Like Proverbs 31:8 says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the right of all who are destitute. If we truly love our neighbor, we will pursue justice for those who fall victims to wage theft. But everything begins with you. What's in your heart today? What stirs you to act? Money or God's created ones?
Hello? Oops. Here's some scripture from Deuteronomy. Don't take advantage of poor or needy workers, whether they are fellow Israelites or immigrants who live in your land or your cities. Pay them their salary the same day before the sun sets, because they are poor and their very life depends on that pay. And so they don't cry out against you to the Lord. That would make you guilty. Another from James. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of your harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. And finally, from Proverbs, do not withhold good from those to whom it is due. when it is your power to act. Do not say to the neighbor, "Come back tomorrow and I'll give it to you," when you already have it with you. Do not plot harm against your neighbor who lives trustfully near you. In one of Chris Rock's movies, The Head of State, he had a recurring line in which he said, "That ain't right." Say that with me. Please join me in our liturgy, where that will be our response. For those who are afraid to speak to their employers. For those who are cheated of their tips. For the families whose kids feel the effects of wage theft. For those who are promised wages but are denied payment from their employers. For the oppressed, hurt, broken, and tired, and for those who are all affected by wage theft.
Okay, so if you have been moved by anything you've seen here today, you might be wondering, like, what can I do about this? So I'm going to tell you. When tipping food service workers, the only way to guarantee that your tip will go directly to them, you have to pay with cash tips. Remember that 30% are not paid the tipped minimum wage. We left petition forms on your seats when you came in this morning. If you have not already done so, we urge you to fill them out. Upon exiting chapel, there will be collection baskets located in the back. We are also passing around a sign-up sheet to give us your information to get a large group of Warner students down to Salem for a lobby day in the spring. We will contact you with the information once we know what it is. This Saturday from 9 to 12 at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, the Oregon Center for Christian Voices will be hosting a legislative educational forum. Some of us will be going, so if you'd like to, you can carpool, speak to us. Also, a number of state representatives will be present, including the representative from our district. They'll be focusing on economic injustice, including wage theft. This is an incredible opportunity to speak to those in power. There is a sign-up sheet in the front. To learn about your rights as an employee or to file a complaint, please visit canmybossdothat.com. We'd also like to ask you to share this on one social networking site. Pretty easy. And finally, if you'd like to take your picture with our doors or share your favorite part of our chapel today, please use the hashtag WPOpenTheDoors on your Insta, Twitter, Face chat. Thank you.
By advocating for wage theft, here are the doors I'll open for those who will be victims. Dignity, freedom, security, options, and empowerment. Join me in a liturgy of intercession. We'll be responding with, "Lord, hear our prayer." For the families that can't get proper education, desire for an education, or are struggling with education due to the effects of wage theft, God, we ask that you give them the justice they rightfully deserved. Lord, hear our prayer. For the people who hunger, can barely afford food for their kids every night, or cannot afford food at all, that God puts food on their tables and blesses them. For the families and individuals who can't afford health care, that God blesses them with health care and mends their emotional, mental, and physical pains. Pour into their lives and let them feel your powerful love. Lord, hear our prayer. For those who have difficulty finding a warm place to stay this winter, we ask that God blesses them with shelter. Lord, hear our prayer. And for the people who struggle with making the funds for transportation due to wage theft and find it hard to have transportation to and from their work, home, school, or church in general, that Jesus blesses you to receive the transport you need. For us who have much or too much, let's say that together, guys, who have more coats than we need, more shoes that we can wear, more food than we can eat, God, forgive us and inspire us to live lives of compassion, bringing shalom to our neighborhood and our world. Amen.
Hope. Hope isn't just a word, but it's a profound meaning of something bigger. It's gotten legacies to achieve the unreachable, and it has made the blind see. It has overjoyed the weak, and it has created homes for the forgotten. It has inspired children, and it has created motivation. Because it has enriched the soul, and it has made shalom grow. It has helped and create faith, and it has provided love. Hope isn't something you see, but it's something that you feel. It has helped create a passage for the marginalized, and it has created lights, because hope isn't something you can see, but it's something you can feel. Hope isn't something you can taste, but it's something you can feel. Hope isn't something you can smell, but it's something you can feel. Hope isn't something you can touch, but it's something you can feel. And hope is definitely not something you can hear, but it's something you can feel. Because you feel it when you taste that richness of victory. You feel it when you smell the everyday meal. You feel it when you see justice being served. You feel it when you're holding that newborn baby. And you feel it when you hear the words, "You are free."
Okay, thank you beautiful people for listening to what my FYLC and I have to say on the social injustice of wage theft. We heard that you heard something, we hope that you heard something that moved you to advocate for this cause. Don't forget to come up on stage and take a picture with the doors. Make sure to use the hashtag WPOpensDoors. Make sure you post it on your Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever. If you are interested in signing the pledge, please make sure to drop them off in the baskets on your way out, and go to that OCC Legislative Forum on Saturday. Don't forget to leave the clipboards on the aisle seats on your way out, and go in peace. You are loved.